What's your current challenge?
Look, the world's a tough place right now. We barely come out of this COVID thing. You had this Ukraine conflict and all the consequences which came out of it, energy, food, inflation, fertilizer. If we had not handled it well, we actually, the Indian consumer today, the average person, you and me, it would have actually hit us in our pockets. We would have seen much higher inflation. We'd be paying much more for our oil than we are. So I'm actually looking at the world where everything is coming at me at the same time. There's a health issue coming at me. There's an energy issue coming at me. I have a set of border problems on the border areas with the Chinese. I have the pending, the old problem with the Pakistanis who, have been doing terrorism for so long. And at the same time, I'm growing. My people are traveling abroad. And for me, one big part is how, foreign policy is not a kind of a board game or an academic exercise. It actually affects every person. So in my own mind, it's like, how do I get this foreign policy for you personally, right? How do I secure you when you travel? How do I look after you when you get into problems? How do I make sure, if you're a student, that you can work on the side and support yourself? Or that, you don't have to wait for 2.5 years for a visa by a foreign embassy. So it's, as I said, I've also learned, it's the small things, it's the big things. You got to get them both right.
The one truth I've learned about geopolitics is that it's money oriented. If you have the money, it helps you geopolitically. The second truth I've learned is that, and this I've learned in the last 3 days speaking to the cabinet ministers,
all right,
is that the role of entrepreneurs is just do your own thing, create employment, increase the exports of the country, help the country become richer. Would you like to give the youth and especially entrepreneurs any other geopolitical advice when it comes to this? I don't want to use the phrase India versus China, but this whole scenario. How can we help?
No, I think you're smart not using that phrase India versus China for this reason. Yes, we have issues with China, but that's not the only issue. I mean, we have to be fundamentally competitive. If I do not have the factories, if I do not have the as you say, the entrepreneurship, the businesses, the startup, the agriculture, the infrastructure, it's not just the Chinese. The rest of the world will also run over me. So, it is, at the end of the day, there are roughly 200 nations in the world. Okay, maybe about 125, maybe much smaller. Okay, after that, once you start grading them, there will be a zone. Okay, there'll be a zone of countries who constantly compete with each other. They could even be friends. The US and Europe are friends. They compete like hell. Okay, so you'd have a Europe, you'd have an America, Russia, China. Then you add, maybe countries who are economically smaller than us, but they would compete in certain fields. So, I mean, say, for example, you have a Vietnam. Vietnam is a much smaller economy. But the fact is, Vietnam competes when it comes to certain kinds of investment. Okay. So the bottom line, I think what the young people need to know is that today, it is all about building strengths. That when you say make in India, when you say startup India, when you say Gati Shakti, nobody's going to manufacture in India if your infrastructure is lousy. Okay. So they need to see the smart ports, the good roads, the rapid movement of goods. Now, if you have to do all this, if you really need to create jobs, to me, at the end of the day, it's all about creating jobs and opportunities. There are many roads to it. Even foreign policy, I would say, especially foreign policy, is one road, which is our job is also to market India, to brand India, to make India a magnet so that the rest of the world says, okay, these are responsible guys, these are safe guys, let's go and do business. They're not going to steal your stuff.
Okay. Basically chase excellence, create employment. And as we move forward in this chase of individual excellence, you will achieve national excellence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the sport of global, in the global sport of geopolitics.
Absolutely.